people join as I do start it. Hello and welcome to the Think Tank. Each day we share the news and open dialogue and discuss how it might affect the business world. We speak with different leaders on crisis navigation and management, as well as experts in professional and personal self-betterment. It's meant to be a break. It should be some learning and sharing of good news and ideas. It gets people to start thinking differently and moving forward. It is called the Think Tank. Today, we have a very special guest who is directly on the front hospitality line, and we'll be talking with her in a minute. But we'd like to quickly introduce everyone, just so everyone has some context as who's here and where their thoughts are coming from. In the top left corner, anyway, for me, is Royer. He is global sales and top thinker at Thinker Society. He helps people in brand navigate and get to their better ideas faster with fun education, experiences, and engagement. There is T. Scott Anderson, a sports and reality show producer and videographer. You'll see him giving you the special shots at all the games, as well as shooting some fun TV shows. Doug Carroll, an advisor and a coach to CEOs and boardrooms around the world during their crisis and challenging moments. He worked with Apple and Disney and AT&T and a myriad of others. Brings a very interesting business perspective and leadership perspective to our conversations. And there is Christine. Thank you for joining, Christine, from Make Ready Experiences. They elevate hospitality, retail, and cuisine to an experiential level all around the US, and they're doing some very cool things. And one of the properties that they have is the Alita, and that's who we're speaking with today. Mike Toman, sports and documentary photographer, stylist photographer extraordinaire out of Houston, Texas. Always brings an interesting perspective. Thanks for joining, Mike. And then Dr. Paulus. Here we go. Here's a laundry list: a professor, a student, a dean, a scientist, a psychologist in collaborative innovation and creativity. What makes people tick, and how do we get them to tick and think better and faster?
And a star of Oprah Winfrey too, though, man. You keep leaving that one out. That's my favorite.
I forgot the Oprah Winfrey piece. Susan Damon's on. I can see her. She's joined. Thank you, Susan. With Merits, she plans amazing experiences and trips and programs around the world. And we've seen some pretty special things with her. So thank you for joining, Susan. And we've got a handful of people on YouTube as well. So that is our general introduction. Any big news that anyone wants to share or talk about that they've seen today? Or shall we get into the main event? Anyone?
Real quick, Doug, did you hear anything else about the Major League Baseball? Did you see that today? They're supposed to have you're on mute, Doug.
Again, Sam keeps putting me on mute. I don't know what the story there is, but you know. I mean, there's actually been a plethora today of Major League announcements. Major League's announcement. The NFL has started to say that they're going to open their camps tomorrow. The NBA has got coaches that are saying they're going to open up this week and start to so there's a whole bunch of the U.S. stuff that is following in the footsteps of what appears to be a tidal wave of soccer in Europe opening as well. Consistently, the thing I'm seeing is that lots more testing than the public's getting, lots more planning around how they're going to do it, and nobody's going to be in front of a crowd. So that's a short story.
Interesting.
Yeah, and in the interview with Southwest Airlines is now has been propagated on all the different things that you talked about yesterday, Sam. And I thought it was really, really interesting what that came out. And you're right that if they'd had a little better reporter, it would have been really good. But,
yeah, quick catch up on that for everyone. So Gary Kelly, the CEO of Southwest, was interviewed by NPR. He had very thorough responses and to the point, really well done, in which he was talking about all the precautions they've made for your whole traveling experience from the moment you arrive at the airport all the way through security to check in and on the planes, and answered some questions very directly. And then a little bit of wheels off reporter, was asking some questions that were ludicrous, honestly, about, so you can guarantee everyone's safety, that sort of thing. And he said quickly, no, nobody can do that. But what I can do is guarantee that we've taken every precaution that we can. And I think that's all anyone's asking. And what they're really looking for is, can you prove that and really give me that confidence, right?
In a connected bit of news, did you see where Frontier briefly offered to sell their passengers the middle seat so that they could buy spacing? And that was met with incredibly negative reactions from everybody from Capitol Hill to everything else. For those of us who remember, a lot of the airlines in particular took advantage of the 2008 downturn to get government money and raise their prices and price gouge. And it's very clear that there's going to be a lot of people watching for, as we start to open back up, big companies in particular that are looking to potentially take advantage of the situation. And it does not appear that they're going to be given a lot of slack, at least early. So Frontier's already withdrawn that, by the way. Said it was misunderstood.
All right.
Hey, Sam, real quick, just to round out the intros, Deidre Yak is the corporate director of marketing for Make Ready. So
okay.
she's in charge of, and no pressure, Amanda.
God.
Got some big players here watching. Who knows, paying attention on YouTube.
Yeah.
No. We have good fun on this digital campfire. We'll shepherd you along through here. We're really excited to have you today. And so today it is Amanda McFarland, who does work with Make Ready Experiences out of Dallas with properties and establishments all over the U.S. She's kind of been put on, and tell me when I'm speaking out of line, Amanda, but she's kind of been put on the task force for the reopen post-COVID. And for them, post-COVID is already happening. It's right now. So you're acting general manager at the Alita Hotel, which is a recently restored, from the ground up kind of redesign and build of this beautiful new property that had just opened not much longer before COVID started, I believe. You'll tell us here in a second, and was closed and is now just reopened this past weekend. So Amanda, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Yes, thanks for having me on.
So tell us, what was, and I know there's some crazy not fun, but there's some crazy backstory about what happened when all of a sudden COVID is on top of us. So you did open, when did you open the hotel, the Alita?
A little over a year ago. And so,
okay.
Yep, just about a little over a year ago. And we just reopened on Sunday. So we're in our fourth day of business.
Okay, so COVID all of a sudden happens and everyone starts in different states, gets shelter in place orders, and everyone's running for the woods, going back home, except you had guests that weren't going anywhere. So tell us a little bit about that and how you dealt with that.
Right. So what actually complicated the matter further is that the weekend that everything happened was St. Patty's Day in Savannah, Georgia. And Savannah actually has the second largest St. Patrick's Day parade outside of Chicago in the US. And so they canceled the parade. The hotel was at 85% occupancy for the weekend. And I arrived on Wednesday. We had a large group of business travelers from overseas, from all over Europe, with flight safety and with Gulfstream. And so as we decided with Christine to close the hotel, we started letting our guests know, and not all of them could get their flights or their planes. We had several pilots and crew with us, and they couldn't go home. Either their borders were closed or their planes weren't ready because flight safety was having some issues as well with staffing. And so we actually closed the hotel on a Tuesday, but let those guests continue to stay with us for another week after that with minimal interaction between them. And so between us and them. And so the senior leadership of the hotel took over. We went ahead and furloughed our entire hourly team 2 days prior to closing the hotel. And then the senior leadership took care of those guests that were left with us. Crazy enough, one of the flight safety pilots had her nanny and her 2 9-month-old children in the hotel as well. And so we were just really concerned, with sending them out into the population and, them finding a safe place with everything closing down. And so we decided to let them stay for another week after we closed.
Now, some of your extended guests also had contracted COVID. Is that correct?
We didn't have any confirmed cases. We did have a guest that was ill, and he stayed with us in his room. He was actually really fantastic, and he sought medical assistance. And by the time he left, he was 100% better. But we never confirmed any cases.
Okay, so now everyone has left. We're now regrouping. Some people go on furlough. Do you keep a skeleton crew, or what happens?
Yeah, we kept 4 people at the hotel while we were closed. Part of our team worked from home, and the rest of us stayed here at the hotel. So we took turns. There were always 2 of us in the hotel with a security officer overnight. So it was like we quarantined together here at the hotel. And so I've been here for 7 weeks now. And wow. We just did projects and, cleaning and deep cleaning and really resetting the hotel for our guests as we were getting ready to come back. I think it took us about a week and a half to really close down. And then on week 3, we turned the corner and started looking at how we would reopen when we were ready to do so, when the shelter in place was lifted in Georgia. And so finding the team members to come back, with the unemployment, the federal assistance, some of our team members are actually making more by staying home. And so convincing them to come back isn't good for them. And so we really had to take a measured approach to that and look at how we can run the business, but also do what's right for our team members. And so that's been, it's just been, there's no one answer. Every team member is different and in a different position. And so we're just having to take it case by case and decide individually for each person.
Well, that's interesting. We spoke with Christine last week, and you have to kind of armchair quarterback and sit back and look and go, okay, when we come out of this, what are the things we need to look at, and how are we going to do these different, and what's going to change? And so in that process, we heard some interesting things from Christine, but what were some of the things that came to mind that, wow, we never thought of that? How are we going to take care? What were the gotchas that you had to work around and think about?
Yeah, I think, a couple of things that came up initially were parking and valet, and whether you want to put your team members in a guest car, and if the team member wants to be in the guest car, and if the guest wants them in their car, how that works, because all of our hotels are set up to function on valet service. How we're going to clean a room, and what's the right thing to do while managing the business. And so we leave rooms for 24 hours before we ever enter them after a guest checks out. Another one, laundry service, how we keep our team members safe while processing laundry from guests and what that looks like. And so we, I think we did a good job. We're still working through some but yeah, there are definitely some challenges. And then also just looking at the guest room and what guests want in their room now. You know, they don't want us in their room. And so we're not offering stayover service anymore for the time being, really for the guests' protection and the team's protection. And guests have been really, really gracious. I think that is a huge positive, is that guests are grateful for the hospitality workers that are here. And they're just, I mean, really lovely, and our interactions are great. And, you know, I had a guest, you know, buy our front desk agent lunch the other day, and just, you know, lots of thank yous, and we're so glad you're open, and thank you for being there.
So
hey, Sam,
what's that?
Sam, I'm sorry. Can I have a quick question for her, if I could ask? So explain or kind of walk us through what that arrival experience looks like. I don't know if that was something you're going down that road or not, Sam, but what's the arrival experience look like today versus 2 months ago in terms of the interaction at the front door, the front desk, the bell service, housekeeping, and all of that?
Right. So we do have a smaller team right now while we're ramping up in occupancy. And so when you arrive at the door, we do have a valet attendant who just lets you know where our garage is located, and then follows your car down there. We let you self-park instead of valeting, so that no one else is in the car. And then we walk you back into the hotel, opening the door for you so that you don't have to touch the handle there. The experience at the front desk is a little different. All of our team members in the hotel are wearing their face mask. I have mine here as well. And so we're not requiring that our guests wear face masks. We're suggesting that they do, but we are all wearing one. And so the experience at the front desk, we're having the guests hold their ID instead of giving it to them. We're wiping the credit card reader before every guest with a disinfectant wipe. We're handing the guest everything on a tray so that they can take it. And the guest keys, we're only using brand new guest keys right now as well, because you know, we're just trying to be very, very careful with any reusable items. So as you go up to your room, there are tissues to press the elevator buttons. Only one family per elevator. If there's a team member in the elevator, they'll step out and let the guests go ahead. We have nooks on every floor, which are refillable water stations to refill your water bottles. We have tissues there for the guests to touch, so they don't have to touch the handles for that. And then in the guest room, we've removed all of the paper collateral, anything that's not able to be washed or wiped down, so that guests just feel really safe. Really, when we walk through the guest experience, we just thought about how we still instill confidence with our guests, and we want them to feel safe when they're with us. And I think one of the best compliments we've received was today from one of our business travelers. And he has still been staying in the market while we've been closed at other hotels. And he returned to us for this week. And when he checked out, he told us that he felt the safest with us, that he felt like we had done a great job looking after him, and that we were trying to do the right thing in all the areas. And so that he actually booked 6 more weeks with us because he felt very, very safe with us. So that was a huge one.
Wow. Yeah, that's great.
Any negative feedback, or people feeling like not enough is being done?
Robbie,
No.
That's not this type of webcast. We don't talk about stuff like that.
No,
Right.
actually, we haven't
Yeah, there's not problems either. There's always just opportunities, right? Yeah.
You know, knock on wood, we haven't received any issues whatsoever as of yet. You know, we're being really, really thoughtful with the cleaning of our rooms. I'm actually inspecting all of the rooms prior to putting a guest in them. So we're not leaving that up to an hourly or even another manager. Only myself and the director of rooms are inspecting rooms before guests stay. And then instead of just inspecting the room, we're actually all re-wiping all the high touch surfaces when we inspect the room. And so just making sure that we're doing double duty. It is taking longer for our housekeepers to clean. and the inspections process is taking longer. But we feel like it's worth it because our guests have been really happy with the level of cleanliness that we're showing.
What is your mix of people staying now? Are they out of towners, drive-ins, or fly-ins, or what do you think?
Yeah, so
leisure, business, or what do you think it is?
Yeah, so the first guests back with us were our business travelers, and we saw them starting to book back as soon as we opened or as soon as they found out we were opening. But the in the day for the day pickup has been really surprising. 2 days ago, I went to bed with 10 check-ins the next day and I woke up with 16. And those are the leisure guests that are deciding to travel last minute. And, I think that people want to get out of their house and Savannah feels safe to them. It's just right here locally. We have a lot of guests from, not super local, but from the probably 3-hour drive radius that are coming. And then we're also getting a lot of guests who are traveling to other states who come and stay the night with us on their way. We had a handful of guests that were going to Florida over the last couple of days. And then we've had some guests from Atlanta who just wanted to get out of the city for a couple of days. So.
And how's are there many hotels open where you're at, or are you the only one, or what's it look like?
Well, there are several that are still closed. However, there were hotels open, the entire time here in Savannah. And so I think that also has played into why guests were choosing to stay with us, because they knew that our hotel had been closed for a month. And they felt really good about that we had taken that time to get ready for them to return.
Very good. Anyone have any questions that they would like to throw in?
How is food and beverage being handled now? Is it different? Because they're really sanitary. The nature of their business is to be clean all the time. Has it gotten more so, or are they just doing things different?
Yeah, absolutely. So my real title before I became the general manager of the Alita is the corporate director of food and beverage for Make Ready. And so I'm super involved with the food and beverage, but Arthur, our F&B GM here, has done a great job. And really, we did the same thing with food and beverage that we did with the rooms, right? We walked through the guest experience and really thought about how guests would feel about what we were doing. There are some guidelines that the state of Georgia has required. Tables must be 6 feet apart. We can only have so many people per square foot. We are all wearing masks, even though it's not required. Gloves for every guest interaction. We've gone to a limited menu so that we can have a smaller team to execute it. But it was important for us to go ahead and open food and beverage so that our guests feel like they have some experiences. And, they're also, some of our guests are nervous about going out into the community, especially our business travel guests who are here for work. And so it's been really great for them to be able to stay in the hotel and get something here. The guests have been really great. We're not handing anything to a guest or putting it on the table. And we're just trying to be really thoughtful about just every interaction. And, the guests will tell you, if they're nervous. And so I think that you just have to really be thoughtful about every interaction and just make sure the guest feels comfortable. That's something that we thought about a lot. We didn't want the hotel to feel like a hazmat area. We wanted it to still feel warm and inviting and still provide a level of hospitality with, also making sure that we were following a lot of really great cleaning procedures and limiting interaction.
I got a question from Susan. So the valet follows you to the garage, and we were talking about this earlier too, Robbie. We were wondering, so do they grab your bags, or do they don't touch your bags, or here's a cart, or
every guest is different, but we have decided for our team members that we're not going to handle luggage. And so we will provide a cart, and we're putting on gloves, and we'll provide a cart for the guest. And we're sanitizing those carts after every use, but we are not handling guest luggage at this time. It's just safer for our team members and for the guest.
So I think you have retail stores at the Alita like you do at some of the other properties. So are those open, and how do things change there?
Yeah. So our retail is open, Keep Shop, and we have a sign that asks guests to please only handle merchandise that they are going to purchase. We were trying to be very warm and caring in all of our signage, but also help guests understand that it's not just for their safety, but for other people's safety as well as our team. And so it's worked really well. Like I said, guests are being very caring and empathetic and understanding, and they're just happy that we're open.
Wow.
And let me put Christine on the spot. I don't know if she has the ability to.
I was about to put her on the spot.
I heard through the grapevine that the Adolphus is opening May 21st. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So from a parking and valet perspective at that particular property, how is that going to work?
Well, it's a little challenging to be sure because the building was built in 1912, and although we have our own parking area, you literally have to go up 3 flights, these very, very tight circular ramp to get up there, in which there's often our team members themselves, as they're self-parking their own cars, have to be very careful not to ding or to scratch and go slow and up these ramps. So a lot of signage and a lot of guidance. We're going to require that they self-park, and there will be someone to meet them on the level they're parking to help them find their way to the closest entrance. There's several entrances into the Adolphus, and so the ease of use there, but definitely a challenging situation. That hotel probably more than any of our others.
So obviously Amanda's on the front line, and I assume she's putting together best practices that you guys are rapidly testing and seeing and will deploy against all your properties. Would that be the case?
Yes, and so we put out a 19-page document that really speaks, as Amanda articulated really well before. We just thought about the guest journey with all the different experiences, everything from the public restrooms to the valet, the food and beverage experience. And we're using a lot of larger companies, a lot of guidance from the local officials to do that. But Amanda and Arthur have absolutely been part of the steering committee, if you will, on what are they doing, what kind of signage is required, even though they were really on top of, with our marketing team, to come up with just really thoughtful on-brand signage that is direct, but still on brand and hospitality forward. I think they've realized this week there's additional signage that is needed. So there's actually been a real benefit. I don't know if Amanda agrees, but there's been a real benefit to them launching first before our other hotels, because although we've just never been in this scenario. So
Right.
We have a team of people that have really broad concerns and really broad perspectives. So that's helpful. Some of us are more conservative, saying, hey, we've got to get back to work and get our economy going. Let's move forward. And then we have some people on our home office team that are very conservative, and they're based in New York, and masks and gloves and timeliness they're far more conservative. So I really appreciate that, because it's a lot of opinions that can help us to make the best decisions that possible. But certainly the Alita launching first has just been really invaluable to what we'll do with the other properties.
And do you know offhand what are the launch dates of all your properties?
Well, we do. What we've made the decision as a company is that our properties will launch 3 days after the shelter in place is released from their local officials. So not the governors, but their true local city officials. Each city, I guess not surprisingly to this group, they all have very different opinions of what that means. So some of them have specific opinions of the difference between a restaurant and a bar and when those can open. Hotels can open at a different time than some of the restaurants. But right now, Nashville is our hotel Noel. There in Nashville's opening May 14th. Their city and release date is really the 11th. Denver's is, Amanda, is it May 8th for Denver?
Yeah, no, no. They're a little later, I do believe.
Yeah, I think they're May 12th. Yeah, you're right. So they'll open 3 days after May 12th. The Adolphus is the 21st. Cliff House in Maine is not till June 1st. And then Emmeline, which is our new hotel that we have not opened yet, we're pushing that opening until July.
Very good. Any questions from the tank?
I have a question. Where do you get your wipes, your Clorox wipes?
So we actually aren't using, well, we have some wipes. And so we're using wipes at the front desk. We're actually, Ecolab, is one of our partners. They take care of all of our housekeeping chemicals, chemicals for food and beverage, and also in laundry. And they've been really great at giving guidance on which chemicals are best and what we should be using. So we already used a cleaner. It's a peroxide disinfectant that we were purchasing from them. And they actually suggest that we turn up the concentration to have a faster kill time for the virus. And so they came out and took care of all of that for us. So they can't provide the wipes right now, but we have a lot of the peroxide disinfectant. We had one case of the peroxide wipes, and so they're hoarding them at the front desk. But we have plenty of disinfectant, and Ecolab has assured us that they don't have any issues with that, keeping that in stock. So that's what we're using for the guest rooms. We're top to bottom. It cleans windows. We're cleaning the floors with it. It's all over the hotel right now.
Amanda, talk about your partnership with the distillery down the street for the sanitizer.
Yeah, so Ghost Coast, which is a local distillery, is doing all of our sanitizer for us. And I know at several of our hotels, we've partnered with a local distillery because, even Ecolab can't get hand sanitizer right now for us. They also deal with the medical industry. And so all of that is going into that field. So Ghost Coast, we picked up 8 cases of hand sanitizer before we opened. And then what we did is we bought little 1-ounce bottles on Amazon, and we're filling those for our guests. And so when you check in, you actually get a little personal hand sanitizer at check-in, and then you can come refill it at the front desk whenever you'd like. And then we also have the bottles around the hotel. But we just wanted everyone, all of our employees have them in their pockets, and we just wanted everyone to feel confident in their stay. And so yeah, we ordered masks from another supplier who made them for us. The hand sanitizer, the cleaning. I think that we were really proactive in getting all of those things ordered. So we're in good shape.
Very good.
So my friends at Disney they've got a group that's now literally saying, okay, we've got hundreds and hundreds of people working on immediate opening, but we're taking this chance to say, what is the trend we need to look at in terms of re-engineering all of our customer space? So things like accelerating the trend to no front desks at all in their hotels, accelerating the ability for technology to get people through the turnstiles and to have, a different experience when you're ordering and getting food, even in full service restaurants. Are you guys thinking about that yet in terms of, what the next step might be, post the reopening phase in terms of, innovating and rethinking the processes and the programs for the experience?
Christine, you almost look like you want to take this one. Do you want to, or do you want me to?
So I'm just going to talk a little bit about I'll take it for just a second here, Amanda, then I'll hand it over to you. We're having a lot of conversations about that front desk and that guest experience. And, actually, as we design our hotels, many of our hotels don't have a traditional front desk. It's more of a residential feel because we just think there's hotels like the Adolphus where that traditional style desk made sense from a design perspective. But many of our hotels have a smaller kind of residential front desk.
Right.
What we struggle with is we do we really feel like that first impression is so, so important to the hospitality side that I can't imagine that we would ever get rid of that personal guest interaction. Now, we do have a couple branded hotels, Autograph Collection and a Tribute Portfolio, that are with Marriott. And they really have promoted in the past 18 months the mobile check-in.
Right.
So you don't have to have a lot of that interaction. I'm surprised at the low percentage of the guests that use that, but we do pay attention to that because I think it'll help to guide us. And it'll be really interesting to see how many more of them use it.
Right.
Time. I think it's going to increase. From a food and beverage perspective, Amanda and Justin are looking at the QR code. Amanda, maybe you want to talk about that, the QR code menu thing, and go from there.
It's hard because we don't know how much guests are going to want that interaction, even if it is distant or protected in some way, because all of our restaurants are experiential. And so how do you still act as a hospitalian when you take that interaction out? And so I think it's going to be something we have to have a lot more conversation about. I don't think it's something that we'll figure out in the next week or 2 weeks. And it's really going to evolve over time. And also as we see how, things change permanently. Like Christine said, we are working on the mobile check-in here for the Alita. And because we are part of the Tribute Collection, we have an app. If you're a Marriott member, you can actually text us if you need something delivered to your room, and so you don't even have to call. And so we do have that text feature with our guests, and so we're encouraging them to use that as well. But yeah, with the restaurant, adding the code so that you can order ahead of time, or just limiting those interactions. That's a hard one for me. Because hospitality is so much about the people. It's not just about the food or the atmosphere. So I think we'll have to see how that one evolves.
And by the way, and I can't go too far, but what I'm working on with my friends is in the same space you are. And what they're trying to figure out is are there ways I can even plus the experience while taking the new reality into, consideration. So it's not about removing the human factor. It's how do I rethink the human factor in ways that adds to that experiential view as opposed. So I think everything you guys both said was really interesting. I appreciate it.
Doug, I think it is interesting. I think that Disney World and Disneyland have by far, far, far done the best job when it comes to ease of use coupled with great experience and a very service forward culture. And so I think they're going to be leaders for a lot of us to really pay attention to, because they just do a good job with the right amount of service. But when you have kids and luggage and strollers and stuff and you're trying to point A to B, it's about fun, and it's about getting to the fun as fast as you can. I think they've done a really good job with the technological part of check-ins and getting your tickets and waiting in lines and not waiting in lines. So I'm super excited to hear that, and I'll be really interested to see how that goes. I think we'll all learn a lot from it.
Yeah, we could have a conversation offline if you want, but I've got NDA issues. But I did the first design work on the Magic Bands.
Okay.
I literally did my whiteboard was the first slide to the board of directors.
I love it.
When they got the approval for that. But I only say that because what was interesting is the entire process, while it started as a technological conversation, by the time it came back around, it was an entirely experiential guest relation conversation. So it's just, I find it interesting that they're approaching this as not what do I have to do just to limit things, but what can I do again to take it into the next level and accelerate my experience in a different way. So they got some smart stuff going on.
Very good. Any other thoughts anyone would like to share before we put Amanda in the lightning round?
Yeah, I forgot to mention this to you, Amanda. Hold on to your seat.
Tell me about this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
forgot. I forgot.
what's the value add now for hotels? I mean, if everybody's got to step up to this level, how are you differentiating yourself from the next guy that's doing the same thing? I mean, what do you get at your hotel that you don't get at the other hotels if they're all doing the same thing and expected to do the same thing?
Right. So we're still trying to have that hospitality touch, right? And so we're not doing stay over service. So every night, overnight, we're leaving a little bag of amenities with a handwritten note on each guest door that says, "We're thinking about you. We're here for you. If you need anything, please reach out." We are, instead of just, delivering linen to their door in a hazmat bag, we actually have these great little canvas bags and pockets to take their things. And so they feel like
Cool.
they're being taken care of and it's really safe. We just started doing our bike program. And so because there's not a lot to do in Savannah, when you can't go to restaurants and bars and party, we, have seen a huge interest in our bikes that we just got. And so Chef came up with a picnic lunch that you can for purchase. So the bikes actually are part of our experience that anyone can use.
That's cool.
For purchase, we'll do a picnic lunch for you. And so you can go to the park and sit and have a picnic lunch that Chef designed.
Wow.
Wine or beers, and actually our F&B GM, because you can take an open container out here, he's doing cocktail pouches. So any cocktail that you want whatsoever, he'll make it into a little juice pouch for you so that you can take it on your bike ride. So that's
Cool.
really great. We are doing record players so that you can check out and take to your room to listen to music. We, are just really trying to think about what guests can still do while they're here. I'm working on a map of the squares here in Savannah so that they can do a little walking tour or a bike tour of the squares. And so working with a team just to think outside of the box and what we can still give the guests and help them enjoy, the local market in ways that they still can. And so we're just really trying to do that. And then, because our occupancy is so low, we've been talking a lot about learning our guests by name and checking in on them and making sure they're okay and seeing how they're doing. And so in the lobby, just addressing them by name and making sure that they're good. We had a couple of families here with their kids the last couple of days. And, one of our team members picked up a couple of floats for the pool and they were so excited. And the parents were loving it because, anything that keeps their kids busy. So just giving it a special touch and helping guests engage with Savannah in the ways that they still can.
Cool.
And we talked a little bit, Amanda and I and Sam, about just how humbling it must be. You never thought that you'd be pounding your chest for the possibility of 20% occupancy over a weekend in May in Savannah, right? I mean,
yeah. Well, I actually texted Christine this morning. We had 15 and a half today and 21 over the weekend. And so we were so excited about it. It's not just excited about the revenue, it's also that you get to bring your team back to work. And so we have certain parameters for bringing more people back on. And as we reach those occupancy goals, it feels really good to call people and say, hey, you get to come back to work. And, we just brought our ADOF, our Assistant Director of Finance, back on today full time. So we got to tell him that. And so it was great. Those moments are really rewarding. And then also when you get a guest note that says, hey, you made our stay really special, or we feel really safe with you, you're like, okay, yep, we are doing the right thing and this is worth it. And so, lots of humbling moments though, for sure.
Well, we appreciate, I'm a shameless plug for Make Ready, but I've had the luxury of knowing Amanda for years and years and years, and she truly is one of the biggest powerhouses in the service industry. So kudos to you. I know you've been forced into a lot and handled it unbelievably well.
No, it's been great. Yeah, it's been a learning experience for sure. And so, with every situation, you take away what you can learn from it, and there's a lot to learn here, and we'll just get better and move forward.
All right, Sam.
Very good. Well, Amanda, we like to finish the think tank with a lightning round with our guests where we just ask some quick questions and first answer that comes to mind, fire away. So are you an early morning or a late night person?
Always been a late night person, running housekeeping. I'm now a 5:45 a.m. So
Barbecue or sushi?
sushi.
Newspaper, TV, or the web for your news?
The web.
Dog or cat?
I have both, but I've had a cat for 17 years, so.
Okay. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn?
I don't post on anything except for Instagram and LinkedIn, and I'm probably on LinkedIn more than anyone else, or any of the other outlets. So, LinkedIn.
The beach or the mountains?
Beach. I hate being cold.
Avocado toast or bagels?
Avocado toast on a bagel.
Oh.
She got you there.
That's a good one.
That's
So
covered all the bases.
Our final one is, what is your COVID guilty pleasure?
Oh, geez.
You know what, Sam? Real quick, I almost said we probably shouldn't ask her that because I don't think she's had a lot of guilty pleasures while she's been there.
Well, Zoom chats with my food and beverage people. I had one last night with our F&B GMs, and I think we all drank a bottle of wine on it and
There you go.
talked it out. So yeah, just staying connected with people who understand what you're going through. It's really important.
Cool. So any last closing words that we should think about as we leave the tank today?
No, I don't think so. I would just encourage everyone to really be thoughtful about their interactions with the hospitality service workers right now. They're just as nervous as our guests are. And so our guests have been really great. And I think that that's helped a lot. And so just, thinking about them and that they're just as scared as maybe you are or nervous. And so just really be kind to one another. Awesome.
Well, thank you, Amanda. That was a really fun think tank and bringing all that information as to what's going on. It's interesting because many of us on here are event and hospitality driven. So it's nice to hear everyone's getting back at it.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me on.
Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you.
So everyone, Think Tank is 4 o'clock tomorrow with your adult beverages. So please join us then, and we'll kind of wrap up the week and tie some of these things together. We had some great presenters this week, like Amanda, and it'll be neat to put all that together. Plus, we'll get Doug and Dr. Paulus sparring on something.
That's what I'm
Dr. Paulus, Dr. Paulus, you got to wear a shirt this week, though, right?
Oh, he's asleep.
Yeah, he's asleep.
Nice.
Hey, thanks everyone. Take care. We'll see you later.